Right, for the next part of the demonstration, we will look at pushing the envelope of the machine. We've looked at basic ripping operations. We'll now look at what else it can do. So I've got a few jigs and aids and templates that we can look at on the bench here. Okay, it's a cheesy piece of wood. But what have I done with this piece of timber? I've cut parallel, but I've also cut on an angle. Now what you may find during your employment years, you may find that people will actually cut this freehand. They'll just use the fingers, they'll push through the machine, no guards, no safety, no nothing. The idea behind this is an educational deal. You are here to learn, to give you best practice. At the end of your working day, you should go home with all of them, not parts of them. So the idea behind this is getting what you want out of the machine, but doing it safely. So let's have a look to see how we can make this safe. What I've got here is a rather large jig. And jigs and aids and templates allow you to get more out of your machine, but keeping you safe. So you can see the shape of the component that we're going to cut. It's basically a large wedge. We've still got a push stick. The push stick is for the last 300 millimeters, so I've got something to hang on to, which makes it more substantial. And what we're going to do is we're going to create two big wedges from one piece of timber. Now you can see that that now sits into the jig. The jig supports the timber. You're not balancing it, you're actually using the jig to support the timber. So the first thing we do with this is we'll set the guard. So we'll set the guard as close as practically possible without actually interfering with any of the timber. We'll set the fence to the size of the material that we wish to cut. And again with the fence, we can just move the fence over. And I'm lining the fence and the tip of the jig with the saw blade. We can tighten the fence up. We're now good to go. So I've got the jig, I've got my timber section. Obviously I've got to use my push stick because again, I don't want to get my fingers anywhere near this. It's a dangerous piece of equipment. Again, for the sake of the demonstration, I'll not use the extraction, but I will make sure I'm using my eyes and my ear protection. So for this particular operation, we'll turn the machine on. The timber is going to be supported and we will cut diagonally through this piece of timber. So again, we'll put the ears on and we'll do the demonstration. So what we've got now is two pieces of timber. Now you may ask yourself the question, well, why would I want to cut a piece of timber into a very large wedge? For those of you who are about to do a flat roofing project, the question I now will pose to you is a flat roof flat? And the answer to that is no, it's not. There's usually a small fall to it. There's several ways you can put the fall on a flat roof, but one of the best ways is to actually cut a length of timber that is basically a large wedge. So it's fat at one end and thin at the other. You'd use this saw to do that job. The jig would be bigger, it would be longer, but it's still a wedge. The longer the jig, the farther away you stand from the machine. The farther away you are, you need some support underneath the timber because you're working too far away for safe working. But that's as simple as it gets. The only hazard that you may come into contact with. As you can see, when we did the cut, we pushed the material through. The material then is trapped between the blade and the material that you've cut. So you have to then physically draw it back, but this is again where you use your push stick so you can draw the material back safely. It's as simple as that. So that's using a jig and a circular saw to produce a large wedge.